Well, hi, it's nice to meet you. And what would be most helpful today?
Yes. So I am just entered my third trimester.
Uh-huh, congrats.
Thanks. That's wild.
Yeah.
But I'm planning to take a maternity leave end of December or mid to end of December until about April of next year.
Hmm.
And so my main concern or my main focus is really wanting to use the time that I do have left before maternity leave to ensure that I'm going to be successful when I come back from maternity leave.
Okay, got it. Tell me
Yeah.
about your practice right now.
Yes. So I launched in March.
Hmm.
It's fully online, private pay. My niche is working with motivated, high achieving women who experience self doubt and burnout.
Hmm.
I did what everybody I think does when they first launch, and you're like, okay, why isn't the phone ringing? Um, yeah, and then I realized, wait, hold on, just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. You need to network and active, be consistent with marketing. And so in April, I networked pretty well. And primarily networked with people in my niche who have online or in-person practices, but really focused on that population of therapists. And then I found out I was pregnant. And so had to take a stop in the first trimester because when your capacity is like you can't brush your teeth and shower, like I don't think I can give much.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah, to anything else. And so I had to take a break for 3 months and then came back in August and really have struggled with being consistent with marketing. So I reached back out to my referral network, and those have been going really great. Having those second meetings, feeling like I'm fostering those relationships there. I've already started to reach out to couples therapists and then have a list of other providers such as kind of thinking, where's my ideal client go? They might go to yoga, they might go to psychiatrists, med spas, estheticians, any type of body work.
Hmm.
And so I've got a good list of people that I would like to network with them
Hmm.
for that. I will say it's been very slow going.
Hmm.
So I've had a couple of nibbles and people who've been interested, but none of them ideal clients or really great fits. And so I'm kind of at this stage where I'm not actively searching for clients right now, given that I'm
Hmm.
getting closer, but want to make sure that when I kind of come back from maternity leave, I've got my ducks in a row.
Yeah, yeah. And networking is super powerful,
Okay.
but what else are you doing besides
Yeah.
networking?
So I feel pretty good about my website.
Okay.
My homepage copy is really good. I will say the break was good in the sense of like coming back from it. I was able to take a look at my website with fresh eyes
Hmm.
and go, hold on, let's revamp some things. So I've revamped my About Me. I'm in the process of reworking my copy for services because that could be much stronger
Okay.
on my website. I am getting traffic to my website. It started to pick up a little bit more, which is good. So I've got my website. I've got two online directories. Really, nothing's happening there. The party's been really good at looking at my copy and giving me some really good feedback that I fell into the typical generic therapist lingo
Hmm.
and how do I specify that. So I've got those. I did some DIY on SEO.
Hmm.
I do feel like I'm about to hit my limit of what I can do, and I need to outsource that. Um, and I've done a training for my previous employer that was paid, which was awesome for them to kind of have me back.
Yeah.
So that's been my main marketing strategies.
Okay. So SEO is usually predicated, like each page has SEO, as you know, but it's
Yes.
usually predicated on blog posts. Are you also blogging?
No, I watched your one-on-one with Jeanette,
Uh-huh.
and Jeanette and I actually networked together.
Oh, I
And
love
yeah,
that.
I actually sent her an email and was like, I just watched your one-on-one with Allison. Cheers. Um, I don't blog post. It was something that originally was a no, but
Mhm.
kind of after hearing you talk with her about it, it was something that I figured even though there's imposter syndrome, I could do. And was something that I also feel like I could do coming back from maternity leave. Like
Mhm.
that's going to take a different amount of effort than like having to pull a full face on and do
Right.
Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not I don't think it'd be my favorite, but I do have some ideas of what blog posts could be for
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. So then we'll add that because I know you did some public speaking, but it sounds like it's not necessarily from people who are going to be able to refer to you if it's a previous workplace. Um,
Well, potentially.
oh, good.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, so I used to work in university counseling centers.
Oh, then yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, same.
Um,
I used to work there too.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. And so it would probably take, and I think at this point it would probably, unless you're doing it consistently, like public speaking consistently, then it probably wouldn't count. And like, we don't want to put that on you in your third
Yeah.
trimester and about to have a baby. So I think
No.
blogging is probably a good idea.
Okay.
The imposter syndrome that comes up for you when you think about blogging, does that look like perfectionism? Does that look like what can you be uncomfortable and be like, I don't know if I know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to hit publish anyway?
Yeah, I think it's more of the perfectionism, and I definitely think I can work through it and get to the like good enough.
Okay, cool.
And I think once I like get into it, then I'll feel more comfortable. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's usually like if I do something new, that part of me tends to like come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's more of the perfectionism and just knowing that it needs to be good enough and thinking of my ideal client. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Not being your ideal client in the moment, thinking
Yeah.
about her. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So as I'm looking at this, what I might do, I might pause networking for the moment. You're
Okay.
already reworking your website. It sounds like you've already reworked your directories. Is that right? Or you at least know they need to
Yes.
be reworked? Okay, they're reworked.
Yes.
Okay. Um, what I'm going to suggest is start writing blogs. If
Okay.
the purpose of the blog is SEO, you want it to be at least 800 words, which is
Okay.
a lot of words. Um, so I think actually very first step, I'd like you to just brain dump all the different things you could write about.
Yeah.
Like I've got an old blog post I'll see. Well, you could probably Google it. If you just Google like abundance practice building 50 blog posts in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Or that actually might be, it's in the party. I think we have it in the blogging or in the blogging section. Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll just help you come up with, not all of them will be good, but it's
Yeah.
going to help you come up with a bunch of topics that you can talk about that your ideal client actually cares about,
Okay.
which is the very most important thing.
Yeah.
So you can write that blog post. If you're at like 500 words and you're like, I really like, it's been a long time since I had to fluff up a essay in high school. Like, I don't know how to add to this. You can copy it and paste it into chat GPT and
Okay.
say, I would like this blog to be 800 words long. Please match the tone and make it 800 words long. And
Wow. Okay.
you can like, you're going to need to edit whatever they come up with, but it's going
Sure.
to help get you there.
Okay.
Um, so that's one way to do it. You might also find you have so much to say about a particular topic. And
Yeah.
as you're writing and you're like, this thing's going to be too long, just look at your major points. Each one of those major points could be its own blog post,
Okay.
or it could be a series. And one of the most important parts of a blog post is the title, because that's going to determine if people click on it.
Yes.
So that's going to be some magic between like copywriting, just like solid copywriting with a hook, and SEO.
Yeah.
We got to call it what it is so the SEO will pick it up.
Yep.
So you
Okay.
could also paste a final draft into chat GPT and say,
ChatGPT.
I need a title for this that
Okay.
is like good for SEO and interesting for people to read. Again, or you could, I always ask for 10 when I'm asking for like a name of something or a title, because the
Okay.
first one's never it.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I do have a question about the networking. So you say pause on networking, and that was something that I was wrestling with of like, does it make sense to kind of reach out to these new um networking partners before maternity leave or after maternity leave.
Mhm.
My networking has really been just the ones that I've networked with before, and I haven't reached out to the psychiatrists or yoga and like all those providers. And so you're thinking kind of pause and maybe put that post maternity leave?
I think so. Let me talk through my thoughts with that. A benefit of reaching out now is that once you're back from maternity leave, it gives you an excuse to have a second touch with them, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to help them remember you. Um, and cue them of like, okay, well, this is somebody I know now, so I can refer,
Yeah.
The downside to networking is that not everybody's going to meet you a second time and they're not going to refer to you right now.
Yes.
Um, so that's why I'm saying pausing, because I'm also projecting my own third trimester experience.
Yes.
And like knowing that like energy's about to downshift,
Yeah.
like discomfort's about to be pretty
At
tough to
all
deal
time
with.
high. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think if there are people that you've already met with that you had such a good connection with, like I wouldn't cancel anything. If there's a natural, easy path, like maybe uh, the baby's breech and you've got to get it turned and you're going to try the chiropractor first or something, then like the
Sure.
chiropractor is great to talk to
Sure.
while you're getting adjusted or whatever
Yeah.
happens. And I'm not wishing a breech baby on you, knocking wood. Um, but I think if you are conserving energy, that would be the choice. If you're in that part of your third trimester where you've still got it to give, then maybe reach out to the people you think would be
Okay.
like the most likely to refer to you
Yeah.
later,
Okay.
and make it really clear when you're meeting with them, like, I'm not looking for any referrals right now. Just to be clear, I wanted to learn more about you and your practice. And I will be back. I'll get back in touch when I'm off maternity leave, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to get to know you.
That's helpful because one of the things that I've really struggled with is during pregnancy or in the first and second trimester and knowing I'm going into third is and thinking about postpartum is how do you be consistent while knowing that my capacity is going to change and my capacity looks different every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think pregnancy showed me that this happens all the time. It's just less extreme. That
Yeah.
like on a given Tuesday or Wednesday, I may have more or less energy, and I honor that a little bit more than I may have before. But
Yeah.
I think knowing knowing that you want to come out of maternity leave and have clients, and to like hit the ground running to some extent, not not a sprint, but
Cool.
like, or a
Yeah.
marathon, but just like have some
Yeah.
clients, then I would have certain things that are lower energy things, like maybe blog posts. Like I would write a bunch of those. And then the things that might take more energy, like going across town to meet somebody for lunch and set up Braxton Hicks and, just like that kind of situation, then I might just be really honest with yourself of like, that's not going to be a weekly thing right now.
No.
Um, and just
Okay.
going for like the most like high value connection,
Yep.
which is still a guess, right? Because we never know
Yeah.
who's going to refer to us, but the people you think might be in front of your ideal clients the most.
Okay. And then question about networking with other professionals. I've noticed a part of me has been a little bit hesitant, and part of that was waiting before maternity or before maternity leave and after.
Uh-huh.
But it also just feels very different than networking with other therapists. And
Yeah.
so that's been something that's kind of been kind of preventing me from doing it is like, is this going to be an ongoing relationship or is this an email with a flyer attached? And so
Hmm.
I'm curious if you could speak a little bit on that.
Yeah. So I think, and like an email to get together, I would still do. I wouldn't
Yeah.
send anything in the mail because it's just going to
Okay.
go in the recycling. Um, I think it also comes down to like the person. So like there's a
Yeah.
naturopath office down the street where they feel like therapists when you're networking with them.
Yeah.
Like it's just the same vibe
Yeah.
versus like a psychiatric office that is so busy, and I can bring that doctor a coffee during a break that he is scheduled to talk to me for 15 minutes
Yes.
because he's overrun,
Yes.
like and that's got a much more like sterile feel where I feel like I have to pitch real quick, like, this is what I
Yeah.
do and who I am, and this is why you should refer to me. So I would look for the people who are most aligned with the energy you have now.
Okay.
Like you could fill your practice just with therapists, networking, uh, alongside these other things. So like you don't have to go outside of therapists, but I think it can
Okay.
really benefit us. So
Yeah.
make it as easy as possible on yourself and find the ones that feel most aligned. And if
Okay.
there's somebody that you're like really nervous about reaching out to, you don't need to do that. There are plenty
Yeah.
of other people to network with.
Yeah, I remember you putting that in the networking and the abundance party of like starting with like even if it was just the person that looked the most nice, like
Yes.
starting with them. And I'm like, yes, am I getting a feel for it? Okay, that's
Yeah.
helpful for me. Another question I did have is my services page copy. I don't know what happened when I built my website because I
Mhm.
went off and did my own thing on that page. And then when I
Mhm.
look at it, I'm like, oh, I don't like it. And so I went back into the abundance party and was doing the course on it and rewriting the copy. You do have in one of the copy for one of the paragraphs of like mentioning, what is it like to work with me, why it helps. And I guess my question for that is how do I not go so clinical?
Uh-huh.
Um, and be like, okay, we're going to lean into your emotions. And
Uh-huh.
how do I not go therapy speak on that?
Yeah. So you could say something like, um, you're a high achiever. You can do anything you set your mind to most of the time. You've proven that to yourself over and over again. Um, and I'm just helping you wield that power for good in your personal life.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so it's still about them, right? It's still about their power.
Yes.
Or you could say, like, I get it. I've been there. Um, I've been a high achiever my whole life, and I had to learn how to slow down, which sucked.
Yeah.
But I actually was more productive when I did it.
Okay.
So because you also want to speak to the thing that their rebuttal is going to be of like, I can't
Yes.
slow down. I have shit to do. Like I've got
I
too
don't
much on
have
my
enough.
plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. More productive once I did. Well, and also like what they're getting out of it too,
Mm-hmm.
coming out of
Yeah.
therapy. Okay.
So it's like looking at what are their pain points? Like what's the reason they're coming to therapy? What do they say? Is it overwhelm? Is it
Yes. It's
okay?
overwhelm and it's the constant feeling of I'm not good enough. I
Mm-hmm.
done enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think another thing that population really wants and needs is like, I will help you sort through what's actually necessary and what's not.
Yeah.
Because I think those of us who are in that position, like having spent a lot of my life there, like it all feels vital.
It's all necessary.
Yeah, yeah. And I've loved having therapists who have been like, wait, so you said
No.
yes to that, but explain to me why? Like, tell me why
Yes.
that's necessary. And then I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna have to cancel.
My favorite like piece of advice that I wish somebody had told me sooner in grad school was you're never going to get all the reading done.
Yes.
And I'm like, why wasn't that told like first year?
Yes. Absolutely. I remember realizing that also and being like, oh, it's an unreasonable thing they're asking us to do to read 500 pages a
Yes,
night,
yes,
especially when many of us are also having to work.
yes.
Um, yeah,
Read the abstract and the results and conclusion. You're good.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, because when I started to rework my services page copy, it just felt very like I fell into the like emotion focused language and that we're gonna do this and that. And I'm like, I don't think they care about that.
Yeah,
And I
I
don't like
don't.
how it sounds. It doesn't feel authentic. So
Yeah, and it's just
yeah.
like how you would say in therapy. Like it might even be write down phrases you say a lot in therapy, or or even things you say to your friends who fit into this when you're having like a come to Jesus with them.
Yeah.
Um, or even the things you say in the mirror. Just write a bunch of that
Yeah.
down and then try to like synthesize it into copy.
Okay. Awesome. Sweet. Okay, so networking website, I feel good. SEO directories are like one of those things where I feel like you put it out there and then it's like kind of done. Um, it's kind of a passive thing, but
Mhm,
I'm even thinking of just not doing some of them because
mhm.
I've gotten like nothing from them. Or like I'll get somebody who's like, "Can you see my teenager?" And I'm like, "No, I've never sat with a teenager. I can't do that." I do like the idea of blogging over speaking engagements. I do have a woo part of me and really enjoy that speaking engagement,
Mhm.
but I don't know that that's going to fit in with this new season of life.
Right.
And so I like the idea of kind of switching and holding off on promoting myself in terms of those speaking engagements. It is probably not as consistent um, as maybe the blogging would be right now.
Right. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Another question I did have is on the About Me page. What are your thoughts on therapists putting a video on there just to kind of get more of that feel of like how I am kind of in session? Or, I mean, it's one thing to read the copy, and I do feel confident in my copy that my personality kind of comes through.
Mhm.
But is there any benefit to adding a video?
100%. There's a benefit to
Okay.
adding video to anything and everything you want to do because
Okay.
that's the world we live in now, right?
Yeah.
I really do think, I talk about networking and having a website as the must-haves
Yes.
for marketing, and I really think there's going to be a point where I say video is a must-have also.
Okay.
And people are going to throw things at me. They're going to be really sad about it.
No.
But I think, especially if you can be yourself on camera, which the
Yes.
video section in the party can help with that.
Okay.
But if you can show up as yourself on camera, then yes, please do.
Well, and it's interesting with all the directories too, having gone that way. I would say more in the past year of
Uh,
like adding a video and you might get more kind of feels. But I think with the rise of social media, the video, I liked it. And so I've worked on like a little bit of a script for it, but I don't want it to be like I'm reading a prompt.
right.
Um, so that's on my list to do too. Um, okay, cool. I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I guess the thinking about coming back from maternity leave, since I struggled in pregnancy a little bit more with being consistent, I am curious. I do plan to like put it in the Facebook group because I know that there's been some people who have recently experienced this. But how do I feel like there's more of a discipline when you have your own practice versus like I'm going to my agency job and showing up.
Hmm.
Of what is that going to look like? I mean, part of it, I guess, is going to be on me and checking in with myself daily of like, what do I have capacity for and what do I don't? But
Right.
I really want to make sure that I'm showing up for myself in the business while juggling this like big life change.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think part of it is being really honest with yourself. Like
Okay.
that first month, like please don't do a thing. Maybe even that second month. Like if you feel good, if you feel like motivated to do something in that second month, then fantastic. That's wonderful for you. Maybe give it an
Yeah.
hour some days.
Okay.
Um, but I think probably, well, okay, let me think back to this is your first kid, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to because it was really
So,
different. First kid to second kid. Second kid was like the whole process was so much easier, despite the fact that I had two now. I don't know.
yeah.
But just the whole world shattering piece of having your very first, and it
Yes.
changes everything. So I think being really gentle with yourself. One thing that I said to myself that might have worked if I hadn't had postpartum depression, but did not help me, is like, my colleagues and agencies are having to go back after 6 weeks. Like, why am I not getting any work done right now? Like, she's sleeping. I could be working.
Yep.
Um, if the way that my brain usually works, that would have been motivating. It wouldn't have been
Okay.
shaming. It would have been like, oh yeah, like people get stuff done all the time, like
I can
six
do
weeks
this.
postpartum. I can absolutely do this.
Yeah.
But because I had postpartum depression, it was just another layer of shame.
Yeah.
So I think gauge your mood, see how you are,
Okay.
be gentle, but also be firm because this is your
Yes.
goal, right?
Yeah.
Like it sounds like if you've not had to be really disciplined in it so far, you're not currently reliant on the income from the private practice,
Mm-mm.
but the private practice is meant to fill more than just your bank account. So it's looking at
Yeah.
like what personal goal setting
Yes.
pieces can you put into um, making a difference in the lives of your future clients, feeling fulfilled at the end of a workday,
Yes.
having your kids see you like growing up with this awesome career that makes a difference in the world.
Yes. Because I'm someone who does not see myself being a full-time stay-at-home mom. There's parts of me that need to feel productive in this
Mm-hmm.
type of way, and I want to make sure they're getting their needs met
Yeah.
as well. And so I think I do like the idea of the blogging too, because I'm like, okay, if I'm in a pump session or something, I can just sit
Mm-hmm.
there and edit a blog or
Yeah,
write a blog
absolutely.
for part of that. And I did like the recent podcast that you did with Lindsay.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, yes, I'm being called in right now and I need this.
Good. We've gotten so much. We were a little bit afraid, like, were we too harsh? But we've gotten so much
No.
good feedback from people who are like, you described me.
Yes.
So,
And I've signed up to do the training in
oh, good.
a couple of weeks. So I'll be there for that. So yeah, and I liked that you said being gentle but firm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need the more of the firmness. And it's part of it. I think it's a daily thing, right? Of like, oh, I have
Mm-hmm.
more energy today versus the other day. And pregnancy, my first time getting this far along has just kind of blown my mind of like, oh, I'm out of breath from walking down the hall.
Yes. Yes. I'm about to be one of those women who are like, just you wait, it gets worse.
Oh,
But
I
this is
know.
not how I want to be. But it's also there's something exciting about it too, because it's like
Yes.
this is getting closer and closer because
Yes.
my lungs really like there's nowhere else for my ribs to go at this point.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you had posted a reel too, and I think this played in with it of the disappointment of like launching and not seeing that immediate um maybe outcome or like I'm
Uh-huh.
not getting the phone's not ringing and stuff. And so when I had this new life thing, I'm like, oh well, I would much rather look at Carter's for baby clothes than to like send a networking email. And so that
Yeah.
played out a little bit in pregnancy. Yeah, it's a seesaw.
It's a seesaw and none of us do it right. Like I've been guilty of just going too hard all the time most of my life
Yeah.
and being like, I'm not allowed to look at baby clothes, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like,
And then
so
knowing that it's never gonna be like this, like it's
yeah,
constantly gonna be like that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And like, I get more pats on the back for being like, I work so hard than somebody who's like, I enjoyed myself and I looked at baby clothes. But like, what I do is can be very pathological sometimes and not
Yeah.
helpful if I'm not on top of it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm one of your clients. So
Yeah.
you
So much.
know.
Awesome. This has been helpful.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm excited for you. Keep us updated in the party.
I will. Thanks, Allison.
Absolutely. Take care.